Experimenting and playing with creative projects is so much fun, and that's what I'm going to be doing today with this UV resin and some epoxy resin. I have this colourful UV resin set, and I thought it would be a nice idea to be able to do some resin without some moulds. On a silicone mat I've poured out a pea-size amount of the resin and dragged it into a kind of balloon shape, added a little bit of wire and put the UV lamp over to cure the resin. This UV resin comes in 12 beautiful colours, and as you can see you can use it straight from the bottle. I've cut lots of wire and made lots of little balloons. To make sure they're fully cured, I like to turn them over and put the UV lamp on them from the other side. So with your projects, try something new and have a little fun along the way and see what new things you might be able to come up with. I wasn't quite sure where this project was going and what it would end up being, so I gathered them together and made a lovely bunch together like this. Do you know the Disney movie Up? Well, I thought this is where the inspiration must be going. So I took a little bit of clear UV resin and attached these all together nice and neatly. And once the balloons were nearly complete, it was time to make a miniature Up house. Most creative projects that I work on, I have a definite brief from the beginning, or I have a definite idea that I work through, but I really love projects like this where I just start being creative and something new is born along the way. And so I encourage you to do the same. And I'm sure many of you are also like me in that I start off doing one kind of project and it ends up something completely different. Here on my channel I use a lot of air dry clay, and so this is air dry clay, my little Up house. Showing you simply here, you don't need anything special to sculpt air dry clay. I used a table knife that I've converted into a air dry clay knife and a pencil. That is all. I let the air dry clay dry completely. It took about 2 days to fully dry, and now I'm just painting it with some acrylic paints. Using some really lovely vibrant colours. Even if you choose not to do the whole of this project, I hope it gives you some inspiration and that you might do some little parts of it. I love the idea of making this into an epoxy resin lamp, so this is what I'm going to do. Adding some lights to the base, I hope this will really bring this piece to life. I'm not completely convinced about all those wires in a big clump there, so I'm just going to thin them out. I've got the resin on there keeping it all together so they're nice and secure, so I'm going to just take a few of the wires away and thin it up at the bottom there. The easiest way I find these to attach together, as I have my UV resin already on hand, is to glue these together with some UV resin. Once this is fully cured, I can add just a little bit more on top, put this under the lamp again and make sure it's all really secured and ready to go into my bath of resin. I have a large rectangular silicone mould here, but you could use absolutely any design and shape you wish. All the items and products that I've used in this project, I will put them in the links in the description below. As I said, I now want to turn this into a lamp, so I needed some sort of lighting. I found this LED strip light in IKEA, and so I'm going to give this a go. The alternative I was going to use were some fairy lights. The balloons are deeper than the house, so I need to make the house end a little bit thicker when I first pour this. So I have my 2-part epoxy resin that I'm going to mix a large cup of. And then I will angle my mould on a hardback book so that I get a slightly uneven surface. Not essential here, but I'm bringing in my heat mat, which just allows some of the bubbles to release that little bit quicker. Once the resin is poured, I leave it on the angle and let it cure overnight. The resin balloons and the little house could be your project complete, but I just wanted to see what this would look like in a resin mould and see how we can turn this into a light. So it's ready to go in now, and I can secure this in place again by using just a little bit of UV resin and setting this in place. And that means when we put the epoxy resin in, it's not going to be sliding about and moving where we don't want it to. This is such a fun project and the kind of thing I haven't done for really quite a while, and so at this stage I'm wondering how to add in this LED light strip. So I'm just going to do a bit of a curly concertina effect and see how that works. I think it's all about experimenting and playing and just enjoy your project. I think that's it. Everything's ready and in place in the mould, and I'm ready to pour another batch of epoxy resin. The heat pad comes in useful again to release some of those bubbles. I'll put the link in the description below along with everything else. I feel this piece is ready for a little bit more sparkle, so I'm adding those into the resin. Ready to pour over the entire piece, and then I can let this cure, then we can demould and then see what the finished results are. So I do hope this has inspired you to have a go and have a play with some different items. I really do love the little UV resins in all the colours. They're really lovely to use. I didn't have quite enough there, so I mixed some more and I'm putting it in for that final bit of the pour, leaving it to cure. And the moment of truth, we're ready to demould and see what we think. So what do you think? Are there things I could have changed? What else could I do differently? I think I'd quite like to have the little house and the lights within the resin, and then maybe the balloons protruding out of the top. I don't know. How would you do things differently? What else would you put in the UV resin? I hope to do some more projects like this, some with really quite different themes. And thank you for watching, and I hope this, as I always say, has inspired you, and I'll see you in the next creative video. Bye for now.